Hello, and good morning. I'm Priscilla Atkinson, and you're listening to Star, where facts are said and opinions are stated. Today we are here with the talented David Benioff, the author of the thrilling but emotional novel City of Thieves, and we will be discussing today how the novel came to be and how it explores identities and relationships through human nature, dignity, moral reasoning, and ethical judgment. Good morning, David. How are you today?
I'm great. Thank you for having me. I'm thrilled to be here. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks for asking. So, Mr. Benioff, we're here to discuss your novel, City of Thieves, and I have some questions to kick it off.
Sounds great.
Okay, so how did you initially come up with the idea to write City of Thieves?
Well, when I was young, I used to really love reading about the war and getting into nonfiction. So I was inspired by my childhood to write a novel that could be thrilling but informative at the same time.
Oh wow, a great story packed with real-life history. Did you always plan on the novel containing a lot of violent and graphic scenes?
Well, no, not really. Once I got past the first 20 pages, it really hit me that this novel had a lot of potential, but in order for it to be successful, I had to add parts that were interesting and eye-catching to the reader. Something that would separate the book from others. I really think that the violence that I added to the book is one of the main reasons it was appealing and made an impact on the readers. At the end of the day, what really matters is the impact the novel left on the audience, because if no one remembers your book, then what's the point of writing it at all, you know what I mean?
I understand you fully. So, now that we know your intent on writing this book, do you ever look back on the book and read it over from time to time?
Yes, of course. It's a book that will always remain with me. It's impacted readers everywhere just as much as it's impacted me.
When going over it, do you ever regret or feel the need to change any parts of it?
Oh, of course, absolutely. When I go over it occasionally, I realize how much I could have changed the book to make it better. Like, I could have cut out some parts of it and changed some words here and there, which helped me learn and improve for my future novels. But no novel is ever perfect, and that's how all of us get better, by realizing our mistakes from previous projects.
You stated that you go back to read your novel. When you review it, do you ever have any emotional connection to any specific characters?
I have a connection with every character because they've been a part of my life for a while and have impacted it greatly, but if I had to be specific, I'd say that I feel a closer connection to Kolya than any other character.
Would that have anything to do with the fact that Kolya was trying to write a book?
Yes, it does. Kolya was working towards writing his book, The City of Hounds, but dies before accomplishing his goal, which has always been a fear of mine. More importantly, Kolya shows that even someone who seems fearless and unstoppable will still have the fear of something, even if it's not the fear of fighting and killing, but a fear in his literature. Kolya took his unfinished novel to his grave, and that's something I fear of happening greatly.
Wow, very interesting. It's really touching to know that you, the author, feel such a great and personal connection to the story. Thank you for sharing that.
Hey, it's my pleasure.
Now that you have answered some of my questions, do you want to play a game I have made up for us?
Sure, why not?
Okay, great. To play the game, I'll give you a quote and you'll tell me how you think it's related to the global context of exploring relationships and identities through human nature, human dignity, moral reasoning, and ethical judgment. You ready?
Yes, let's do it.
The first quote is, "Two guards escorted a new prisoner, a young, uniformed soldier who glanced around the cell like a man viewing an apartment he's considering for rent." Now, David, how do you think this relates to the global context?
Yes. This is when Kolya was first introduced to the novel. It actually took me a while to write the sentence, believe it or not, as I sat on the computer for a day trying to find out how to properly introduce Kolya into the story, since he's such a huge part of it. But anyways, I think this relates to the global context because eventually Kolya will be Lev's closest and only friend that will help him realize and learn different things he never thought he would know. Kolya is one of the main reasons the story had the outcome it had, and why Lev's dignity is upheld and his ethical reasoning does not need to be used as often, since Kolya did the majority of the killing and dirty work, which is why the quote was so significant.
Oh, yeah. I totally see why you think that it really kicks off the main point of the story. Now, for the second and final quote, since we're unfortunately running out of time, is, "You want us to find eggs? A dozen," he said.
Alright, ready? This is the part where Lev and Kolya realize that they won't just be strangers in a cell together. They had to depend on each other in order to save their lives. The Colonel's decision to make Lev and Kolya the only one to retrieve the egg starts off the mission. Here, Lev needs to use a lot of his ethical judgment to make decisions in order to protect his dignity, and his state of mind is also saved by the mission because without it, he would have gone mad in the crossings since the one day that he was there that he was already asking for death to take over, which I did on purpose so that Kolya in some way would seem as Lev's savior.
Whoa, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Mind-blowing. I was shook when I read that. I'm glad we ended today's podcast on such a good note.
Anytime. Thank you so much.
Well, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for coming, David. It was nice to have the answers straight from the mastermind, so to speak. It really backs up all of my initial thoughts on the book and its story.
Hey, it's my pleasure. Thank you for having me, and I'll be happy to come back at any time.